The following program is being brought to you on the World Talk Radio Network. For more information about our network and to check out additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit worldtalkradio.com. The World Talk Radio Network, where the world comes to talk. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the World Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
It's time to hear from those who have faced adversity and accomplished greatness. Welcome to Breaking the Limits with host Leica Sean. Your past does not dictate your future. This program will inspire and motivate you. Now here's your host, Leica Sean.
Hello everyone and welcome to Breaking the Limits. Tonight I have a very special guest, Joyce Schwartz. Now she is a best-selling author of a number of different books among her many accomplishments. And welcome tonight, Joyce.
Well, it's great to be here, and I love the title of your show.
Thank you. The focus of the one of your many books that you have out that I wanted to talk to you about today was The Vision Board: The Secrets to an Extraordinary Life. And I just got the book today, so I'm really excited. I've been reading through it, and there's just so much content there. I would love to go. I'll probably have to ask you back. I was just going to read a little.
You're seeing some of the pictures too, I hope.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I was just going to read a little clip here so that the audience kind of had an idea to some degree what the concept is. I have The Secret to Living an Extraordinary Life, about the creation of power of vision statements, vision boards, vision videos, and emerging visual systems which picture the future. The art and science of creating visual depictions of what you want for your life, business, or community. And I took that from one of your documents as a basic overview of what it was. Could you tell us a little bit about what the concept of the vision board is?
Yeah, well, the concept of vision boards actually go back to the, even before the Stone Age, the caveman woman era, where people would actually draw paintings or sketches on the wall, and you've seen them probably online. Especially some of these are in the caves in southern France, and a lot of tourists have actually visited there. But what a vision board is a visual map of how we would like to create and live our lives, our best possible life, and without any limits. And so most people know this, and they may know some variations of this by a dream board or a wish board, or some people call them dream circles or life maps. And most likely you've seen some of the simplest forms, which are not necessarily, the simplest form is not necessarily bad. So don't want to lose those people that think, oh, well, I have that, but now am I doing something wrong or right? There's no totally right or wrong way. But one of the things you've probably seen people do is to cut and clip out pictures of magazines and put them on a poster board.
My mom has done that forever.
Yeah, and that's just the beginning of it. I just want to make sure that people understand the vision boards that Leica and I are talking about today are really not just cut and paste or vision boards for idiots or dummies. The whole thing of this is to use this as a visual map so that you're using both your right and left side of your brain, your intuitive and your logical part of your brain, because most of us use too much of either side. Sometimes if we're into New Age or the wisdom movement, we'll use our right brain a whole lot, and sometimes if we're in more of an analytical profession like the law, for example, or teaching, we'll use a lot of our logical left brain. And one of the ways that we've shown with a lot of experiments and a lot of actual discoveries with people who have been successful in their own lives is by using the left and right brain. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today.
So you're looking at the balanced approach.
Yes, and not necessarily, I'd say more of a harmony approach. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes we'll be doing things that are a little out of balance. I mean, all of us work a little too much sometimes, or play a little too much sometimes, or maybe there's times when there's an abundance of money coming in, and sometimes there's a little bit less. And so that doesn't mean that it's good or bad. The whole thing we want to find is that sense of harmony so that we can live our best possible life no matter what the outside circumstances say.
So it really sounds like you're talking about bringing creating an internal image that you bring out to your external life.
Part of it is through visioning, where you actually take those images which lie inside you, and I believe that we are all either born with those, and the universe gives those to us, and they're not just internal. They may be something that we see every day. If I look outside of my beautiful window here in Marina Del Rey, California, I see the gorgeous mountains, and I see the palm trees. And for a kid growing up in Ohio in a housing project, government housing project, I just look at that and go, it has some sort of, emotional resonance to me. I look at it and go, wow, I think it's so wonderful that I got here. I am so grateful.
You know, that's a great segue, because I really like to always ask my guests that I bring to the show, tell me a little bit about who are you? Where did you come from? What was your background like?
Well, I read a little bit about yours, and so there were a couple of, similar kinds of things, and I think probably with a lot of guests on their show is that we're people that really either saw no limits or broke through the limits, and we just kept going, and I was born in a housing project in Cleveland, Ohio, from a blue-collar family. My parents had not even finished high school, and I was the first to finish high school, let alone go to college and graduate school and whatever. And one of the things that I dreamt about was to work on the magazines in New York, because my mom used to get one magazine. For those of you that are a little older, you may remember some of these magazines called I think Ladies' Home Journal is still out there, and McCall's and Redbook.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And I worked on one of those magazines when I was 19 years old as an intern, and this was one of my dreams come true.
Wow.
And so the odds were probably really stacked dramatically against me, but at the same time, I believe that through the visioning process that I used, instinctually maybe at that time, I was able to make my dream come true, and to begin a career which has just really been exciting and covers everything from publishing to advertising to launching new products to being involved with the Internet since 1990. So it's been a wild, fun ride.
Now, you didn't invent the Internet, did you?
Oh, no, Al Gore didn't either, but he says he might have. But I was actually there at UCLA when he was talking about it. No, I didn't invent the Internet, but I did work with people like Mark Chasin to launch emusic.com, one of the first music sites back in those days, 1994, 95. I worked with AOL in their Greenhouse program to launch Love at AOL and Motley Fools and some of the other. So I was doing the marketing and what we call the marketing rollouts and the launches, and helping people to become aware of what the Internet was all about.
Okay. So was there a point, it sounds like you kind of instinctually used the visioning process in your life from a very early on, but is there when did you suddenly decide, hey, you know what, I'm going to write a book about this? When did the concept suddenly hit you as an independent concept you could actually get out there and teach people about?
Okay, well, in 1986, I actually started doing some coaching work. I had moved into an office in Hollywood and to launch a marketing business after going to graduate school in film at USC. And remember, I'd already started a second career here because I had been a very successful vice president and executive for big ad agencies where I'd launched all kinds of products. And prior actually starting my own business, I'd actually probably become best known for launching the Kids on the Milk Carton campaign with Ralph grocery stores. So the Missing Kids on the Milk Carton campaign, because I've always been a believer in having companies outreach and help a nonprofit and community projects. And so in 1986, I'd opened my office, and wouldn't you know it, there was something called an actors and writers strike then, and I thought, oh no, I'm going to be working with launching and introducing new Hollywood movies and television shows, and it's going to be so much fun. But there wasn't that much business. So what I started to do was to actually coach people in starting to produce and set up their own businesses in Hollywood to do independent films. And I had been very fortunate to be one of the first people to go to the producers program at Sundance and learn how to do that myself. And so as I did that, I realized there was a need for some of the methods that I was using in the advertising business. And those who have been in either advertising or film may be aware of something called a storyboard, where you actually take pictures and you put them in a sequential order, not unlike maybe even a cartoon strip, but where you actually see the picture of the scene that you want to create as a producer or director or art director or whatever. And these are called storyboards, and then you put the words against them. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could storyboard our lives? And so I started teaching a rudimentary version of this back in 1986. But it wasn't until about 3 years ago, I myself was in a high-stress kind of business that I had set up, another one of my businesses, which was launching a lot of high-tech companies, as I mentioned earlier, I think before we even started here in terms of the Internet. And I thought, you know what, I need to change my life. So I fired one of my clients, and he was outraged, and I said, sorry, give him back the money, you're fired. And it just wasn't working out, and he was just asking for all kinds of 24-hour work and whatever, and I went like, okay, I'm going to take a breather. Well, unfortunately, the universe sometimes hears you, and if you don't have a breather and something set up for it, it provides one. And I ended up in St. John's Hospital with some sort of a intestinal disorder kind of thing, and stomach problem, and they thought I was going to have an operation. It turned out it was just an infection. So I beat it in 2 days, and I came home, and I had on Oprah, and I was watching the show, and I saw this show that she did about The Secret. This movie about the law of attraction that Rhonda Byrne created with Jack Canfield and Bob Proctor and a bunch of other leaders.
Yeah, I've watched it. It's great.
Yeah, and I thought, I'm not sure I agree with everything, but I do see that they're using this concept called vision boards, and I've used them, a similar version of that, in my coaching practice. I wonder if anyone has a book on it, just like you asked, like, when did that idea come up? So literally, why I'm watching the show, and I was also blogging the show, because I knew it was momentous in my life, so I live blogged that show in February 2007, I believe it was. And so then I looked on the Internet, and I didn't see a book. Nobody had a book. Some people had like a book on how to make a dream board, just cut and paste kind of stuff. But nobody went into the spiritual, emotional, visioning, visualization aspects of it. And I thought, this has got to be deeper than this. I've got to really research it. So I started doing some research. Long story short, about 3 months later, I had already acquired a major New York agent, and we sold the book to HarperCollins Publishing, which is the second largest publishing company in the world, to Collins Design, which is the gorgeous coffee table division. That's why this book has more than 100 color pictures in it on this beautiful 90-pound coated stock. And so Collins Design worked with me in creating the book, and I had contributors come in from 38 states and 9 countries in terms of sharing their successful vision boards.
Hey, I just wanted to let you know that we have about 2 minutes till a commercial break's coming up.
Okay.
I didn't want to get knocked off track. I really wanted to talk a little more about this. Now my mouth is watering to get the coffee table version. I just got the paperback version.
Yes.
And now I'm like, now I got to see that because I love visual.
Well, that's the thing is people are going to enjoy it when they see it. And they can look at some of it online at http://tinyurl.com, see inside book. And if they don't, I think there's some material on your site. And what was your site again, Leica?
BreakingTheLimits.com.
Okay, and they can also go to ihaveavision.org and click through and get a free newsletter. And on the newsletter, they'll see more information about the book. The book's, the paperback version, as we talked about, is launching December 22nd. And so if you're seeing it before if you're listening to this and it hasn't launched yet, be sure to ask for it. If you're listening to this a little bit afterward in a recorded version, be sure to check it out online and at Barnes & Noble and Borders.
Yes, please do. And I believe we're about to go on break, so we will be back and talk more about this amazing book.
Thank you.
Oh, looks like there's 30 seconds till. My tech guy just pinged me. Well, we are going to go ahead and talk. This is such a heavy book, I don't even know where to start, so I'll need a little bit of guidance from you.
Okay, so
when we come back.
It might be in terms of other people have created a vision board before, and why doesn't the vision board work?
Okay.
Part of it might be about my Gravis formula, and if you're moving from really
here comes the commercial break. I'm sorry. We'll be right back.
Listen. The world is talking. The World Talk Radio Variety Channel.
Your past does not dictate your future. Learn where this powerful message came from by picking up a copy of the inspirational book, Firewalker, written by author, speaker, and talk show host Leica Sean. Firewalker chronicles Leica's experiences raised in the deep woods of Maine by a Czech immigrant who claimed to be touched by the hand of God, and her journey to overcoming the fear and self-doubt that was thrust upon her for years. Pick up your copy of Firewalker now at breakingthelimits.com/Firewalker. That's breakingthelimits.com/Firewalker. Champions are born and losers are made. This is a powerful statement made by one of the world's top motivational speakers, John D. Lemmy. Clinically diagnosed as a stutterer at a young age, he was told he would never speak fluently, and yet now he is a world-renowned motivational speaker. Get the resources now you need in order to stay on top of your game. John D. Lemmy is giving away for free 7 success motivational teachings. Go to www.selfempowermentsystems.com. That's www.selfempowermentsystems.com.
You're listening to the World Talk Radio Variety Channel.
Champions are born and losers are made. This is a powerful statement made by one of the world's top motivational speakers, John D. Lemmy. Clinically diagnosed as a stutterer at a young age, he was told he would never speak fluently, and yet now he is a world-renowned motivational speaker. Get the resources now you need in order to stay on top of your game. John D. Lemmy is giving away for free 7 success motivational teachings. Go to www.selfempowermentsystems.com. That's www.selfempowermentsystems.com.
You're listening to the World Talk Radio Variety Channel.
You are listening to Breaking the Limits. Your past does not dictate your future with Leica Sean. What would you do if you could overcome any obstacle in your life? Let's get back to today's exciting discussion. Here's Leica Sean.
Hello and welcome back to Breaking the Limits with our wonderful guest, Joyce Schwartz, and we are talking about her amazing book, The Vision Board, The Secret to an Extraordinary Life, and this is actually the paperback version coming out. We were just talking about a mouth-watering desktop coffee table version that you were telling me you had all these different people from different countries bring together.
Right, 38 different states and 9 countries, and we had 900 contributors, and I had to narrow it down to over 100. But we've got 75 of the wisdom leaders. The preface is by Bob Proctor, and the afterword is by Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul. And then we've got a whole slew of names you probably know, ranging from Marissa Petrero, who is briefcase model number 18 on NBC's Deal or No Deal. And we've got other people that are, Marie Diamond, the Feng Shui expert, and we've got
the cast.
Yeah, it's quite a cast of wonderful people. And then, of course, there's ordinary people like you and me and the rest of us. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about, I think to tie in with your show, talking about breaking through limits, or the idea of, I like to say there is no envelope, kind of like people talk about going beyond the envelope, and the idea of actually creating a new kind of life for yourself. And sometimes I think those of us, and if people look at your background and then look a little bit about mine, coming from a housing project in Cleveland, sometimes it seems impossible, even if you look from the outside or looking from the inside out, how the heck am I ever going to get from here to there? Well, that's one of the interesting things about this concept and about, I've got a little formula called GRABS in the book, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it might take most of our show, but it starts with gratitude, and it's the idea of releasing that whole idea of it's impossible, and then acknowledging that we can move ahead and the good stuff about ourselves, and then really being as authentic we can and believing, maybe despite all odds, kind of like I say, it's kind of like suspend that disbelief, like when you go to a movie theater, and the idea of sharing our accomplishments with other people and maybe our little secrets of success. And the universe will provide the how. And I know that sounds a little corny, but a lot of times I find that you don't have to worry about how it's going to be done, is that if you know you want to get there, if you know you want to get from, say this time of the year, you want to get from Los Angeles to Boston or Los Angeles to Georgia, where you are, is that there are a number of different routes you can take. And if the freeways are busy, you can take these side roads, or the American Indians, Native Americans call it blue roads, that are outside of the regular freeways, and there are ways to get there. And so the how can generally be provided either by, I call it the who or the how. Sometimes it's someone that if they know what you really want to accomplish, it's kind of like, if they know you really want something for the holidays, they might not be able to get you exactly what it is, but they might show you how to get it.
Yeah, I know one of the things that comes up as a stumbling block a lot of times what people will automatically throw out and so oftentimes trip people up when they're just starting in that dreaming process. Well, how are you going to do that?
Right.
Like, you have to have the how first before you even have the what.
Right.
And one of my favorite authors, Wayne Dyer, has a book out that's called I'll See It When I Believe It, instead of I'll Believe It When I See It.
Right.
And that's exactly the type of thing we're talking about here, I think.
And the good news is this book actually does show you how some people did it. There's a wonderful piece in the first chapter, which is about a family called the Schwartz, and they're up in Seattle, and actually now they've moved, but they created what's called a vision wall. And remember, we're talking about my book called The Vision Board, and the whole idea is to create a visual map of the best possible life. And they came up with one power word, and we can talk a little bit about power words later, but one word that kind of unified their vision of the future for the whole family. And on page, what the heck is it, 23 of the book, I believe, there is a picture of their kids that are about 8 and 10. In the background, there is that word freedom spray painted on their wall.
I read that one. That's the one story I got time to read because I just got the book this evening, I think.
And it's a true story. And so all of these are true stories, and when you really think about it, I'd actually met them on the Bob Proctor cruise, and they were thinking about going to sail around the world with their kids. And I was sitting at my table even, and I said to them, they didn't know I was writing the book then. I was being real quiet about it. And I said, I'm just an author, and I've written a couple of things, and blah, blah, blah. Because I was more interested in doing research than bragging about myself. And, of course, obviously, when you're just writing a book, your mind is just so filled with all kinds of things that you want to do the research. And so I'm sitting with the Schreiers, the husband and wife, and I said, well, what's stopping you guys from going? I said, is it the kids in school? And they go, no, the kids are homeschooled. And I go like, okay. And I said, is it the money? And they go, no, actually we had the money. This is a couple of years ago, and they were able to raise the money, and they were doing trading online at home and doing quite well with it with specific methods they learned from someone from Mark Victor Hansen's group had taught it them. And I said, so what's stopping you? Well, it's going to be winter in Seattle when we go back. And I go, yeah. And I go, what do you mean? I can't sail in winter. I go, you can in Marina del Rey, where I live. Why can't you just go? And they thought about it, and they said, could you do a little coaching with us on the cruise? And I go, sure. And so I basically coached them as to, once again, their how became the who. And I showed them how some of my other clients had taken a sabbatical for 6 months to a year and just done it in a short period of time. I said, it's just like you're getting ready to go on a vacation or summer camp. You just gather the stuff up, you're selling your house anyway. You've got this on the wall already. And they said, because they were telling me about this picture they had on the wall, or this big phrase, freedom, freedom. I said, you got to take a picture for me. And I didn't even tell them it was gone in a book yet. And so long story short, within 3 months, they were already moved to Galveston, Texas, and living on a sailboat in Galveston. And then what they did from living on the sailboat is they actually went out sailing. So when the hurricane came through Texas, they were sailing and they were safe.
Oh.
And so it was amazing. So they had some opposition, just as all of us do. When we move ahead, it's kind of like I say that we're scouts. It's kind of like think of us as Native American Indian scouts. Is that sometimes we are going to get some arrows in our back, but we just keep moving because we can take those arrows out, put a little lotion, potion on it, and keep going.
Now, I also understand that you have a course to become a certified vision board counselor. Is that right?
Yes, and that's where it's really interesting is you can actually turn this into a side business. And can you imagine making money while helping other people make their dreams come true? So I've actually turned this into a course, and a lot of people, once again, how was I going to do this? That was one of the dreams that I had, and one of the visions I had in the book. And then what I didn't even think about is people started using the book as their textbook to do vision board classes, and I went, okay. So I don't have to use another textbook. I figured I was going to have to write another textbook. So I started certifying vision board counselors, started first classes in May. We've got 25 counselors and plus 8 in training all over the world, from Sydney, Australia to the UK to Singapore, across Canada, across the United States. Still looking for people in Georgia. Still looking for people in parts of California, Texas, throughout the Midwest. So if you're interested in that, just go ahead and email me at thevisionboard@AOL.com, and I'll be glad to give you information. We've got a special going on. I'm not going to steal the surprise, but we've got a special going on a special price until December 30th. We'll throw in December 31st too, and then afterwards it's going to go up a little bit because we're going to be offering CEU credits so that you can actually coach coaches.
Oh, okay. So this is a brand new program, correct?
Yeah, brand new program. I'm actually doing something for the International Coaching Federation on January 18th, and then after that I'll be working with the International Coaching Federation around the world. So all of us that are certified vision board counselors will actually be able to coach the coaches into how to do this.
So do you do a lot of travel with all of this?
I don't. The whole idea I wanted to do was to get my ambassadors and my friends and pals around, like you, hopefully, that would interview me on shows and then would spread the word.
Okay. Well,
I do a little bit of traveling, and maybe every month or so I go somewhere. And sorry, that might be a lot to a lot of people, but I'm not on the road 97 days a year or something. You can get a hold of me. Don't worry. As I said, thevisionboard@AOL.com. I'm actually training the trainers. And I don't do a lot of vision board classes myself, but I do, coming up, if you're listening to the show right now live or before December 22nd, you're going to be able to come I'm going to have a 24-hour celebration to celebrate the launch of the book, and we're going to have about 48 different people, actually.
That's
so they're going to be sharing their tips.
24
Yeah! We're going to start at 12:10 a.m. Pacific time, North America Pacific time. Someone told me you have to say that. And then it will go all the way through. Plus, we've got a trip to Costa Rica we're giving away, $7,500. And it's kind of the whole thing I've talked about is I am really grateful. I want to actually receive all the good things that I can and then share them with others through my GRABS formula and through the wonderful concept of visioning.
Well, actually, can I go? I just want to at least say what the GRABS formula is. I have
okay, go ahead. Let me go ahead and read it a little bit more and explain it. The importance of the GRABS formula was that if you maybe know something about the law of attraction or in the movie The Secret, they had a very simple sequence called ask, believe, and receive. And their concept was kind of like the universe is kind of like a mail order system, and all you have to do is just ask and then believe and you receive. Well, doesn't always quite work like that. And so all I wanted to do was to explain a little bit more and to analyze why. I think I've worked with 6,500 people now, if you can believe, is that why my people were so successful, and even if they were tripped up along the way or ran into some challenges, why they were able to pull themselves back on track. And that's the thing we all need to learn and want to discover, is that, success is kind of like the waves on the ocean. It kind of goes up and down for all of us. And
it's a ride, that's for sure.
Yeah, and so the G stands for gratitude. And so whenever my head starts spinning around, you can kind of picture my head on a little bobblehead spinning around, and I'm all, oh no, I'm in a tizzy, oh no. Maybe something even serious, like last week, for example. It's kind of sad, but thank heavens it's got a great story, is that my nephew, who's 22, was carjacked. And can you imagine? And I was so nervous afterwards, and wanted to make sure he was okay and everything. And he was okay, thank God. The car is gone, totally gone somewhere. But he was, and so immediately I couldn't even sleep thinking about, something might have happened to him, and he's so young and everything. And so it was about 2 a.m. and I went out on my patio in Marina Del Rey, and I just sat there on one of my lawn chairs, and I looked up at the stars, and I went I am so grateful. I am so thankful he's okay. And I just kept saying that kind of like a mantra, and it gave me a little sense of peace that, okay, the most important part was that he is okay. And sometimes we get tizzied away.
We have a commercial break coming in.
Oh, my heavens. Okay, we'll be back.
We'll be right back.
The World Talk Radio Variety Channel, where the world comes to talk.
Your past does not dictate your future. Learn where this powerful message came from by picking up a copy of the inspirational book, Firewalker, written by author, speaker, and talk show host Leica Sean. Firewalker chronicles Leica's experiences raised in the deep woods of Maine by a Czech immigrant who claimed to be touched by the hand of God, and her journey to overcoming the fear and self-doubt that was thrust upon her for years. Pick up your copy of Firewalker now at breakingthelimits.com/Firewalker. That's breakingthelimits.com/Firewalker. Champions are born and losers are made. This is a powerful statement made by one of the world's top motivational speakers, John D. Lemmy. Clinically diagnosed as a stutterer at a young age, he was told he would never speak fluently, and yet now he is a world-renowned motivational speaker. Get the resources now you need in order to stay on top of your game. John D. Lemmy is giving away for free 7 success motivational teachings. Go to www.selfempowermentsystems.com. That's www.selfempowermentsystems.com.
The World Talk Radio Variety Channel.
You are listening to Breaking the Limits. Your past does not dictate your future with Leica Sean. What would you do if you could overcome any obstacle in your life? Let's get back to today's exciting discussion. Here's Leica Sean.
Hey, welcome back. We are talking to Joyce Schwartz about the Vision Board, The Secret to an Extraordinary Life, her book that is coming out in paperback. And Joyce, we were just talking about your grabs.
And so let's just tie it in with the of overcoming any obstacle in your life. And we were talking about how grateful I was that my nephew who was carjacked at gunpoint. It sounds so horrible. Back in the Midwest, was okay. And think about this: is that obviously nothing, and not every day is filled with such horrible circumstances, but let's just say you do come along with a day which is just simply overwhelming. Or let's just say in that case, you've had a child that's had something happen to them or whatever, and one of the things you want to do is to immediately go to gratitude. And so using the GRABS formula, you go to gratitude that they are okay, or that they are in good hands at the hospital, good hands with the doctor, or they are being taken care of, okay? And then immediately you want to go to release any old patterns, negative things you have that's going to be bad. Oh no, this might happen again. Oh no, if he goes out, he's not going to be safe.
One. How do you suggest we do that? Because I know that's really hard for them to let go of that built-up negative.
Right, and if you can't do that, okay, one of the things is by going to gratitude and being totally grateful, and you may have to stay in gratitude for an hour or two, or even a day or two, till you totally start feeling grateful. The idea of releasing these negative feelings is a tough one for many people, and a lot of times I say, just go ahead and act as if, okay? Just say to yourself that what you want to do is to have some affirmations. If you feel that he's going to be in danger, say something to the effect of my nephew is safe.
So you're counteracting it?
Yeah, you're counteracting with an affirmation, and you're telling the universe that your nephew is safe. And so in a way, it is providing that sense of someone dealing with chakras might say a pink light surrounding him, or you're sending the best wishes possible. Okay, and you're doing the best to visualize him as safe. So releasing that by looking at it in a positive manner. I don't go into, you may, if you have some real serious issues, have to get some professional help with this, or you may want to do other exercises. And I'm talking just about regular, ordinary things. You've had a flat tire, or something a little more serious, you've lost a job, or in that case where there is an immediate traumatic thing that doesn't have a long-term consequence to deal with. I mean, obviously my nephew's going to have to keep releasing his feelings of fear every day. But by being grateful, I was a second party here. I could release my fears and then receive the sense of calmness myself. I wanted to be calm because if he called me and I broke into tears, that wasn't going to help him.
Yeah.
Okay? And then what I'm going to do is acknowledge that he's really a strong guy. Okay? And acknowledge that I can be calm and think about times in my life when I have been calm. And that's not always the way I am. I'm a little excited and I'm a little filled with energy, and so maybe I have to go ahead and have a cup of tea and really relax. As I said, one of the things I did was to go out on my patio and just sit there with my cup of hot chocolate, as a matter of fact, and look at the sky and just relax and realize that the world was a lot bigger than myself and my nephew, and that he was he was really strong and he was able to deal with it. And I was really acknowledging how wonderful that was. And then ask, of course, for some help from the universe and from other people to look out for him. I asked, my niece to look out for him. I asked my brother, his father, to look out for him a little bit more. Just people that we were able to be right there with him. And I asked the universe to say, really send him some, as you might say, good vibes if you were his age. And then what I wanted to do was to really have a sense of belief that this was possible, that he can be safe again. You think about it, he's been safe his 22 years, and he is safe now. Mm-hmm. It was just those particular moments that were horrible and traumatic, like a movie of the week or something. And so he's through those already. And then what we want to do is to really be really authentic about it, not just think, I'm just doing this because it's just like a little formula. No, I really believe he can be safe. And I really believe that the universe will take care of him at this point. And if another blip comes up like that or another challenge, he's going to be able to handle it. My heavens, if you think about anybody who's been carjacked, they can handle everything from that point on. And so then what we want to do is to share the good that comes out of it, because in this case, somebody else might be dealing with something similar or something even worse today, or I don't judge what's, better or worse in terms of living life. Life gets messy. It could be that you're a flat tire upsets you more than anything else today, or that, you lost your wallet. I remember once I lost my wallet at the holiday season. Oh, how traumatic. But,
so we're going through GRABS, GRABS.
Release. A is acknowledge. Okay, B is believe. Okay, and S is sharing. So you want to share your positive stories. You don't have to go share the negative stories. I want to share those positive stories so people get an idea of how they, too, can overcome obstacles.
So how does this tie into the vision board?
Now, this is an interesting thing. Part of it is by knowing this, you're able then to come up with your power words. And today I might actually do a gratitude board for being grateful that my nephew is safe. And another thing I might want to do is to really share this, obviously, on a radio show like I am, so people can understand. And so this is a formula that you use in order to have your vision board really work better, to really have something to put it into action. And so they're going to have some inspired action that you need to do, create with it. It's not just a matter of ask, believe, and receive. That may be one way that works for some people, but I believe that you really have to put a lot more into it, and you have to have some inspired action. So thinking of my inspired action, am I being grateful? You can ask yourself. Am I releasing those negative things? Am I ready to receive the positive? Am I receiving the positive even if I'm not ready? Am I acknowledging the good stuff in my life? Am I asking for help if whether I need it or not? Asking for help you don't have to be ashamed to ask. And then believing that I can have all the things that the universe is giving me and is willing to give me, even if I'm not ready or even if I don't feel I'm worthy, and then I share.
It sounds like there's a lot more involved than just sticking a picture on the wall there.
Right. I mean, the picture on the wall is part of it. And if I were to go to using what I would call a defining image that night, I might actually surround myself with images of calm. Obviously, I could light some candles. I could then pick out images of, I looked immediately to the sky, because the nature provides us with these calming images if we just look for them.
So I have to ask, how many vision boards do you have?
Well, obviously, I have all the 100 that are in the book that people sent me. And at any one time, I don't just have vision boards, but I will have one for my birthday. I'll have one for the holidays. I just did one for Veterans Day. My dad passed about a year ago, and I wasn't ready to do one. A lot of people can do what I call a tribute board after their parents pass or someone in their family dies. But I wasn't ready to do one until this Veterans Day. My dad had a military funeral, and it just came to me that day, a weekend before, how to do a board to honor our veterans. And I did one, and it became very personal with pictures of my dad in uniform and that. And then I have one for Mother's Day, and then I have one for Valentine's Day of looking for love in all the right places, and not just a love from a romance, but love with friends, and my idea of sharing love, too. And so I have one for each one of the projects that I want to do. Now, I don't run around having all those displayed at once. But one of the important things that you learn in the book, and there are some wonderful tips from Reed Diamond, the Feng Shui expert, is where to actually post your board and to make sure that it is visible. Sometimes I go into people's houses and they say, oh, I have a vision board, I have a vision board. And what they do is they'll take it out of the closet, it's all dusty and it's all scrounged up or it's folded up, or they have one in their bathroom.
Somewhere.
They have it in their bathroom, and it's just kind of in the back there. So what I say is, no, you want to bring it out where you can see it every day. And if you don't want to display it because you're a little shy, what you can do is take a picture of it and put that in your office desk or carry it with you in your wallet. I think there's a value of actually displaying it. Maria Bamford, who's a wonderful comedian that was on Fox TV, had a thank you board that she did when she got her first TV gig. And it was going to go in the book, but we didn't have room, unfortunately. But she tells a great story to me is that one of the things she put on her board last year was she put on a picture of a microwave, and everybody goes like, what the heck do you have a picture of a microwave? She said, I need a new microwave oven. Her sister came over, saw her board, which was posted to her refrigerator, which isn't a bad place, and sister said, you need a microwave oven, Maria? She goes, yeah. She goes, why would you put that on your vision board? She goes, I want a little portable one I could take with me on the road when I'm doing my comedy gigs. And she said, you know what? I've got one from that baby shower or from the wedding shower that I had 3 years ago sitting in Mom's garage. She goes, are you kidding me? She goes, no, how much you want for it? She says, I'll just get it out of there. Mom's complaining and
right
fill in its box. So within 20 minutes, Maria had, as she say, manifested a free, portable little microwave. So you never know. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be so hard.
We've got a commercial break coming up in 60 seconds here. So, well, I'm going to put my mind to it, see if I can manifest a little mini microwave.
Okay.
But that's a funny story.
It is.
So, yeah, I know that having it visible can also help to reinforce. You see it every day. You see the direction you're going.
Right. And then you can add new things to it. I have one person who calls their vision board a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes, like what I did on a recent board is I was out taking a walk with my little dog and Buddy.
Oh, sorry, we're getting cut off. I want to finish the story when we return, though.
The World Talk Radio Variety Channel, where the world comes to listen and talk.
Your past does not dictate your future. Learn where this powerful message came from by picking up a copy of the inspirational book, Firewalker, written by author, speaker, and talk show host Leica Sean. Firewalker chronicles Leica's experiences raised in the deep woods of Maine by a Czech immigrant who claimed to be touched by the hand of God, and her journey to overcoming the fear and self-doubt that was thrust upon her for years. Pick up your copy of Firewalker now at breakingthelimits.com/Firewalker. That's breakingthelimits.com/Firewalker. Champions are born and losers are made. This is a powerful statement made by one of the world's top motivational speakers, John D. Lemmy. Clinically diagnosed as a stutterer at a young age, he was told he would never speak fluently, and yet now he is a world-renowned motivational speaker. Get the resources now you need in order to stay on top of your game. John D. Lemmy is giving away for free 7 success motivational teachings. Go to www.selfempowermentsystems.com. That's www.selfempowermentsystems.com.
Listen. The world is talking. The World Talk Radio Variety Channel.
You are listening to Breaking the Limits. Your past does not dictate your future with Leica Sean. What would you do if you could overcome any obstacle in your life? Let's get back to today's exciting discussion. Here's Leica Sean.
Hey, welcome back, Joyce. You were just in the middle of telling us a story about taking your little dog for a walk, and we got cut off.
Maybe one of the things that, talking about breaking through limits, this little dog himself is a good example, is that he's really not my dog. He's my friend Ella's dog along the hall, but I've always dreamed of having a little yap-yap dog, and we can't have one in our condo building, but Ella got one because he is an emotional help dog, and she's going through some tough times, and her doctor read her a note so she could have a dog. So just after I was adding a dog to my vision board, he came along. And so now I get to take him for a walk because she has a bad back. And so I'm taking him for a walk, Buddy. He's a little shaggy dog. And I'm taking him for a walk, and all of a sudden I see this rose. And I go, this most beautiful rose. And then I say, the thing's starting to die on one side, but the other side was really perfect. And I thought, I'm going to take some of the perfect petals and take them back and put them on my vision board. And then as I realized I was stopping and smelling the roses.
There you go, with a little dog.
So your vision board is a work in progress.
There you go. Now, we don't have a whole lot of time left, so I want to make sure I address something that you were talking to me offline about earlier, which is that the holidays are coming up, and I know it can be kind of a rough time for some people, and you want to talk about creating positivity in your environment. Did you want
to
go ahead?
And that, the whole idea is that a lot of us live in families that are challenging during the holidays, and of course we know that a lot of the movies even show kind of crazy holiday families. But we would like to have some peace and calm. Now, one of the fun things to actually do, if you can gather together your own kids and your own spouse or friends, is to create a vision board. Either I did it on Thanksgiving Day in a thankfulness board, but you can create a vision board that you want to picture the holidays in a sense of calm. And so one of the things you want to do is, if you do want to have more of the sense of peacefulness maybe, or peace of mind, think about that, is that even if you're at a family gathering that gets a little zany and starts to look like a holiday comedy movie, but it's your life, that what you might want to do is to take a walk around the block. And we were talking about, you may not be able to smell the roses, but what you may want to do is to spray on a bit of that new cologne that somebody gave you, and then put on your gloves, you put on your hat if you're in cold weather, and then begin to walk around the block just for a little while. If you've got a dog, it's a good excuse to do it. And otherwise, just go ahead, take a block and walk around the block and have a sense of peacefulness. So in a way, I'm giving you both the how here and the way of actually visualizing that, of actually having some pictures that you put together that are defining images. Maybe it's not a whole board, but add some power words. What would I like to create for my holiday season? I've got a tough one coming up because I'm going to be doing holidays with a lifelong friend who's going through a blood disease right now. And so I want to make sure that I'm happy when I go up there and that I don't cry the whole time and feel sad. And so what I want to do is to have some things I'm taking with me, some card games, some fun things, charades and stuff that I've already planned that we can do. And so I'm putting them on a board and some pictures of some happy times we had together. And so that's a sense of, okay, we were happy before, my friend and I, and I'm putting pictures from happy Christmases, and I'm going to give that to her as a little gift and kind of in a tribute of our friendship. And it also helped me to realize that I can be happy up there during the time where there may be challenged to be happy and a little bit sad at the same time, but I want the happiness to win out. Mm-hmm. And so this is part of what you need to do, is to plan ahead. And the vision board allows you that, to actually create an ideal sign, as Shakti Gawain called it in the first visualization book that she wrote in the 70s, is the idea of how do I want my day to go? Not so much the nouns of it, but the verb. I believe life is a verb. And so, okay, it's not about the gifts, and it's not about the food that you eat and all of that, although, of course, watching your healthy foods helps you be in a better mood physically and psychologically and emotionally. But at the same time, if you think about it, I want to have calm. I want to have a sense of warmth. I want to have a sense of celebration. I want to have a sense of activity, of not just sitting there like a lump on the log. And so I'm planning some of that in advance, but I'm also picturing some of the wonderful times that we had so I can have that really feeling come into my life again. And so just sometimes by saying your power words, by saying I am calm in a affirmation, and by remembering times that you were calm, and by remembering a happy, if it wasn't a Christmas, there have been happy times in your life. Maybe it was just happiness is sometimes, a lot of times happens in moments, not necessarily moments and minutes, not necessarily days and months and years. And so I remember what it's like to walk Buddy around the block in his new little sweater, and even if he's not near me, I still get the feeling of him, yap, yap, yap. He loves me no matter what.
Pets are great. I have 2 Siamese cats.
Well, they probably go.
I call him Buddy. That's his name, and her name's Mim.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So basically, it sounds like what you're doing is you're choosing the elements of your past that you want to draw into your future too.
That's right, and also of the future, of what I want to create. That I want to relive the happy parts, and I want to create even more happiness and more fun and in my life. And because I'm doing that, I believe that other people will share in my happiness and in my sense of calmness or in my sense of adventure. And that's why I've created the Grabs formula in the book called The Vision Board. And that's why I do outrageous things every now and then. Like I'm going to do the 24-hour party celebration online.
You're going to stay awake for that whole thing?
Yeah, I'm going to. I can stay awake. I used to stay awake in college. I can do it. So I'll have a couple of friends on standby in case I have to conk off for an hour or so.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to stay awake. Yeah, I'm going to have my hot chocolate and my Diet Cokes and my good fruit sitting here and all that. So anyway, I certainly hope that your people listening will vision their best possible holidays and will realize that you can break through the limits no matter what the past says. The past does not dictate your future, just like Leica says. And she and I and the other guests she's had on her show, we're all examples that you can change. You can change today, right now. You can change in the next minute.
We have about 3 minutes till the end of the show, so I want to give you a chance to go ahead and tell people again how they can learn more about you and your amazing book.
Okay, so one of the simplest ways is you can go to www.visionboard.info and sign up for the free newsletter, and then you'll get an invitation to our 24-hour party, and we'll also be having something else on New Year's Eve, which I haven't announced yet. And then what you'll do is, I don't mail a lot of junk, so don't worry about it. Just sign up over at www.visionboard.info. Now, if you'd like a little bit of quick advice, and maybe your vision board didn't work from last year, your dream board or wish board, you can go ahead and email me directly at thevisionboard@aol.com. And you can just, ask for a little bit of advice. And if I have time, I'll definitely get back to you. But if I have time before I launch the book, I'll give you a couple of hints. And just say that you heard me on Leica's show, LYCA show, or Breaking the Limits?
Breaking the Limits.
Okay, so Breaking the Limits, and just say that, because then I'm on a lot of different shows and a lot of interviews, but I'll remember Leica, because also she's talking about her cats, and I'm talking about my dog. And
I have a weird name.
Yeah, that's true, too. It's kind of a pretty name, though.
That helps.
Yeah.
Hard to find a keychain, though.
Good. Well, this was a lot of fun, and I hope we can. Maybe we could do something fun like this for Valentine's Day or something.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I bet you would have some interesting tips for putting together.
Oh, yeah. We even have one from Gina Bikar, who's the romance novelist that a lot of you may have heard about.
You put
and she
Fabio
says
up there, right?
Spice up your life.
So, yeah, thank you so much for joining the show. They're going to be knocking us off in about 2 minutes. So did you have any last words you can fit into that little bit of time that you wanted to share?
Oh, well, just share the vision, and don't be afraid. The world will show you, the universe will show you how. And sometimes it's a person. Your how is sometimes a who. So please be open to have your antenna up and be open to all the good things the universe has to offer.
Thank you so much. It was great having you on, and I am holding this big book, just wanting to go through it. I only got through the first little piece. I kind of flipped through everything to see all the pictures because I'm very visual.
Okay, well, it's the Vision Board, The Secret to an Extraordinary Life. It's from HarperCollins. You can get it at your bookstore on the 22nd. If you want to go right now to Amazon, just put The Vision Board, and you'll see the book. It's kind of a Zen-looking book with beige, with a beautiful kind of...
It is beautiful. I can attest to that. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks again for tuning in to Breaking the Limits. Please join Leica Sean for another program of inspiration next Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 Eastern on the World Talk Radio Variety Channel. This week, never let what's happened in the past dictate what happens in your future.
Thanks again for listening to the preceding program brought to you on the World Talk Radio Network. For more information about our network and to check out additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit worldtalkradio.com. The World Talk Radio Network, where the world comes to talk. The views and ideas expressed on the preceding program are strictly those